Hi guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking through what I believe to be one of the strongest stocks on the market right now, and what also happens to be one of the most misunderstood businesses in the world, Visa. So if you do like the content of this video, guys, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really does make a big difference to the algorithm. So one of the main reasons Visa is misunderstood is people think Visa offers credit. However, Visa does not offer any credit anywhere. Visa is actually the payment network which fuels debit and credit cards all around the world. And what happens is banks carry out credit offerings to their customers and send them a card. That card is typically a Visa or a MasterCard. Every time you use your Visa in a store, a transaction is carried through the Visa network and they take a percentage of the transaction without bearing any credit risk. That lies completely with the bank. To fully understand how Visa works, let's watch this short video coming from Visa themselves.
Visa pioneered the electronic payments business more than 60 years ago, envisioning a world in which paying for something could be translated into electrons and photons that move across the globe at the speed of light.
The consumer may access an infinite range of goods and services whenever he chooses, wherever he may be.
Today, there are more than 3 billion Visa accounts around the world, in more than 200 countries and territories. Each transaction made on the Visa network represents a packet of data that moves across a massive telecommunications network, more than 10 million miles in length end to end. The journey of each transaction starts with you. When you click, swipe, dip, or tap to pay, data about the transaction travels from the store owner to their bank or processor, which captures the information and sends it to VisaNet. VisaNet uses artificial intelligence technology to analyze every aspect of the transaction to determine the level of risk for fraud. VisaNet routes the information to the bank that issued the customer's credit or debit account. The bank decides whether to approve or decline the transaction based on Visa's risk score and its own data about the account. Traveling back through VisaNet, the approved request returns to the store owner, where the transaction is completed. Later on, Visa makes sure the money is transferred. This authorization all happens in less than 1 second, whether you're in Miami, Madrid, or Mumbai.
Since going public in 2008, Visa's revenue has been steadily growing, and looking at its market returns, it has actually regularly outperformed the S&P 500 across many of the years in that time scale. And looking to its operating profit, even in 2020, when COVID had shut the world down and markets were failing, Visa recorded 21.8 billion in revenue. Because their operating profits are only about 7.8 billion, they managed to record a profit of 10.7 billion in 2020. The financial performance in 2020 was not in isolation either. Across the years, Visa's underlying financials have just been getting stronger and stronger. We can see its prices up year on year. Revenue has been growing consistently year on year. Income before tax and deductions is also going up year on year. Free cash flow has been considerably growing year on year, with 19.7 billion being recouped in 2023. Net income has been growing year on year. Earning per share, cash and debt. The dividends have been growing consistently at a very high compounded rate, and the shares outstanding have been reducing as Visa has continued to buy back additional stock. All these metrics show very strong performance for Visa. The underlying financials are fantastic, and this should equate to further growth in the future. So Visa only went public in 2008, and since then their profitability has just been increasing and increasing. And one of the key reasons for this is the Visa network is already built, and it's already built around most of the globe now. So there isn't a huge amount of money required to increase the scale of the network. As the network is used more heavily, Visa just gets a proportion of every transaction. And so this is a really low cost business model now for Visa, and every year its profitability is increasing and increasing.
Really good way to think about Visa's revenue stream is for every $100 spent on a Visa card anywhere in the world, they make about a quarter, meaning 25 cents, an actual quarter. Every time you buy a pair of shoes, that's $100. They get 25 cents of that. As the network has scaled, that's very high incremental margins. And so the profitability of the business naturally goes up.
So one of the more unique things about Visa as well is that it only has limited competition, and the main competition it has is in the form of MasterCard. Most debit or credit cards around the world are offered on either Visa or MasterCard. There are some new Asian playing cards in the market, however, they don't have anywhere near the market share. And this provides a really unique opportunity because the best strategy here, and one which I will be adopting in my portfolio, is to buy Visa and MasterCard, and in doing so, you're buying a proportion of the transaction market globally, which is growing year on year. There are 4.5 billion Visa cards on the planet, which means 1 in 2 people have a Visa card. So this level of transactions is enormous. And if you consider that the rest of the population that do have debit or credit cards are realistically using a MasterCard, then by buying Visa and MasterCard and holding them both in your portfolio, you are buying the majority of the stocks within the transactions industry. One other region of competition could be cryptocurrency. However, over the years, this hasn't really caused much of a problem for Visa. And you can see there's been multiple startups within the crypto industry all trying to create a card which can change fiat currency to cryptocurrency and vice versa so that people can spend their digital assets. And all these cards are always trying to utilize Visa as a brand recognized by everybody, which would secure the payments. So in most cases, a lot of cryptocurrencies have actually been trying to partner with Visa. So where it isn't a direct competitor, it's almost more of an opportunity for Visa to continue moving into industries like person-to-person payments or business-to-business payments while already working on the huge network of transactions they already capture. So to highlight why I think Visa is pretty safe from the cryptocurrencies that are coming through, I want to just break down Visa's revenue here. So we can see that their revenue as of 2023 was made up of 14.8 billion for service revenue, 16 billion for data processing, 11.6 billion for international transactions, and 2.5 billion for others. If you look on the right hand side though, you can see Visa's net revenue is shown as 32.7 billion, which is less than the sum of all the information on the left hand chart. The reason being, you can see 12.3 billion for client incentives, and this is the biggest difference that Visa is doing that I don't see cryptocurrencies currently doing, is they're paying huge amounts of cash outlays in order to further their place within the transaction industry, and this is payments to banks, payments to payment merchants, and any sort of payments which will allow them to grow the network. So Visa is investing about a third of what their net revenue in further growing the market. Now, we know that the transactions aren't overly expensive for Visa at this stage, so the more they can scale the level of transactions, the future profitability will just grow and grow because most of the sunk cost has already been done. So Visa are investing 12.3 billion annually into further growing the network, which no current cryptocurrency to my knowledge is, and why I believe actually Visa is more likely to pair or acquire a lot of these new technologies rather than to be directly threatened by them.
So if we take a look at Visa currently, we can see it's trading for a market price of $270.90. So this week it's up 2.14%. This year to date it's up 20.69%, which is huge growth. And if we look at it since 2008, it's up over 7,372%. So this is ridiculous growth. Now let's have a look at the analyst target for Visa. So we can see straight away it's a strong buy with a price target of $288.82 with a high estimate of 306 and a low estimate of 252. And if we go down and look at some of the top analyst ratings, we can see fairly consistently that Visa is going well above its current $270 price point with certain highs of 300, 320 there, and most of them seeming to think that it's going to exceed 280 within a year. So this is a very strong positive outlook, and it seems like there's a lot of positive sentiment around further growth for Visa.
So thanks very much for watching the video, guys. If you did like it, feel free to like and subscribe. Like I say, it makes a big difference to the channel. And if you want to see my portfolio in full, you can follow me on eToro as CONeil2318. I'll leave a link in the description. If there's any other stocks in my portfolio you would like to see, just leave a comment down below. I'd love to see what stocks you guys are investing in.